This film begins by showing illegal Chinese immigrants who have just arrived at a beach in Japan. One of the illegal immigrants who was carrying a gun tried to attack the Japanese policeman who was patrolling there. After the Japanese police were disabled, illegal immigrants who attacked the police immediately gave a code for other immigrants to leave there before the other police arrived. Then, a man named Tietou was seen stealing clothes and shoes around the beach. He is one of the illegal Chinese immigrants who are looking for a place to live in Japan. At night, Tietou walked into the city, checked the map, and tried not to attract the attention of the police who were guarding there. In China, Tietou is known as the greatest tractor repairman in his village. He has a girlfriend named Xiu Xiu, who plans to go to Japan and work with her aunt. Even though it was hard, Tietou finally let Xiu Xiu go to Japan and promised to return to China after getting a lot of money. Several years later, Tietou never received news of Xiu Xiu in Japan until one day, he received news that Xiu Xiu's aunt had died and Xiu Xiu had been missing since then. Because of that, he went to Japan to look for her. Now, Tietou has met his friend in Japan named Jie. After Tietou was invited into the house, Jie introduced Tietou to his friends, namely Lao Ge, Dai, and Aunt Hao, and provided him food. Tietou, who was starving, immediately ate the food he was given voraciously. Then, Jie took Tietou to the public bath. There, they were reprimanded by 3 Yakuza for Tietou's voice being too loud when he spoke. When Tietou and Jie were washing their bodies, Jie said that he had looked for Xiu Xiu but couldn't find her, so he advised Tietou to forget her. On another occasion, Jie paid a man to get a job. The man said Jie and Tietou would work as builders. However, it turns out that the two of them were duped because the job they were given was sorting garbage at the garbage dump. At that place, Tietou saw a man named Little Tai who was known as a hunter of valuables in a garbage dump. When Little Tai found some valuable objects, he unwittingly got under the garbage truck, so he was buried in the garbage. At the same time, patrolling police arrived, so the illegal immigrants fled immediately. Luckily, Tietou and Jie managed to save Little Tai. As a token of gratitude, Little Tai treated Tietou and Jie. Not only that, Little Tai also gave the payphone card he got from Taibao to Tietou. Elsewhere, Yakuza officials were seen attending the Yakuza leader's funeral. They have also elected a new Yakuza chairman named Koichi Muranishi and his deputy, Toshinari Eguchi, while Togawa, who gets the lowest votes, will become the branch head. During the last honors ceremony for the late Yakuza leader, it appears Togawa did not participate and chose to leave because he was disappointed with the results of the vote he got. Meanwhile, Muranishi and Eguchi paid their last respects. In the evening, Inspector Kitano, who was in charge of arresting illegal Chinese immigrants, was ordered by his superiors to be accompanied by an interpreter, even though Kitano himself was proficient in Mandarin. When Tietou and Jie were cleaning the drains, suddenly, the police came to arrest the workers there. As they ran to one side, it turned out that another group of policemen had come to surround them. All the workers lined up to be interrogated. One of the translators tried to communicate with the Chinese immigrants, but the language was difficult for the immigrants to understand, so Kitano conducted the interrogation directly. Suddenly, there was a riot after one of the immigrants tried to be handcuffed by the police, and the immigrants tried to escape. While chasing the immigrants, Kitano fell into a fairly swift waterway. Tietou, who saw that Kitano couldn't swim, immediately saved him, but left as soon as Kitano was in a safe place. The next day, Tietou, who was walking in the market with Jie, was surprised that Lao Ge easily stole a golf bag in front of him. Jie explained that shops in Japan are not guarded because no one is stealing their merchandise. Tietou also accompanied Lao Ge to hand over his stolen goods to a dealer in the black market. A dealer told Lao Ge to steal the more expensive items and give him brochures of the desired items. At night, Tietou works as a dishwasher at a bar. While he was working, a woman named Lily came up to him and gave him money out of pity. The woman was then asked to leave by a drunken old man. In an alley, a group of thugs harass Lily and the grandfather until the thugs injure the grandfather. Tietou, who was not far from the alley, tried to help them to chase away the thugs. Finally, the thugs left, while the grandfather and Lily returned to the bar to treat the injured grandfather. At the bar, Lily again gave Tietou money, but he refused and even returned Lily's money before. Therefore, she asked him to drink because the bar was hers. The next night, Gao Jie was seen welcoming Toshinari Eguchi at his bar. There, Tietou and Jie were also seen working. Unexpectedly, Tietou and Jie saw Xiu Xiu with the group, and it turns out that now she has become Toshinari Eguchi's wife. As the group was about to leave, Tietou kept looking at her. Xiu Xiu also realized that Tietou was there, but she couldn't do anything. Eguchi himself was aware of this. When he got home, Eguchi asked Xiu Xiu about Tietou. She explains that Tietou is his hometown friend in China, but she doesn't say hello for fear of embarrassing Eguchi. Hearing his wife's answer, Eguchi said that he never looked down on Chinese people and allowed her if she wanted to see Tietou. Meanwhile, Tietou, who is heartbroken, finally invites Jie to drink and hires a woman to comfort him. After that, Tietou told Jie that he would make money in various ways in order to obtain official Japanese citizenship status. Meanwhile, Jie said that he dreamed of selling Tianjin beans. The next day, Tietou, accompanied by little Tai, met Tai Bao for an illegal phone card business. Tietou invites everyone in the house to cooperate, and even invites his friends to steal expensive items by pretending to be tourists. Tai Bao also offers Tietou another business by setting up a game machine so that he can continue to win the game. Time passed, Tietou's business was quite profitable, but Jie, who was in his group, always caused trouble because he didn't have the guts, so Tietou gave him business capital to sell Tianjin beans. Jie was very happy because his dream could come true. The next morning, Tietou went to the black market to sell his stolen luxury goods. He accidentally met Lily there, so he gave her a bag. Tietou also told her about his current job, and the two of them became closer. Even he introduced Lily to all his friends. The two of them were greeted with praise, and Aunt Hao said that Tietou and Lily were very compatible. Suddenly, the owner of the house they rented came and got angry by using the Japanese language because of the commotion they were making. Tietou took the initiative to apologize and then gave a stolen luxury watch to the house owner. Because of this incident, Tietou also invited his friends to learn Japanese so they could mingle with the surrounding community. Lily was happy to teach Japanese for free. After that, Aunt Hao took them to dinner together because that night coincided with the Chinese New Year celebrations. Meanwhile, Jie, who was walking home after selling, met a Chinese girl and they chatted. The girl's father, Tai, doesn't like his daughter being close to Jie and invites him to enter his bar in a friendly manner. Once inside the bar, Taik asks his daughter to leave while Jie is surrounded by several Yakuza members there. Taik orders the Yakuza to beat up Jie so he doesn't come near his daughter again. When Jie got home, his friends were shocked by his battered condition. Jie told them everything that happened, including the confiscated cart. Hearing his story, Tietou was very angry and immediately went to meet Taik. Helped by little Tai, Tietou finds out where Taik and all his members are. Taik meets Tietou in front of his bar, but he is immediately frightened when he is bullied by Tietou and orders two Yakuza thugs to come forward. At the same time, Tietou's friends appeared carrying weapons so that the two thugs were beaten to a pulp. Taik, who was terrified because his place of business was also vandalized, finally told them where Jie's cart was. Unexpectedly, the police came to the place, so Tietou and his friends ran away immediately. When Tietou was about to pick up Jie's cart, Kitano suddenly came and made him think he would be caught by Kitano. As it turned out, Kitano actually thanked him after saving his life the other day. Even he gave Tietou his contact and asked him to contact him if there was a problem. Not long after, Kitano asked him to leave immediately because the police were coming. Kitano, who saw two police officers looking for illegal immigrants, tried to distract them so that Tietou could leave immediately. Elsewhere, Gao gets reports that someone is sabotaging his game machine, so he intends to catch the culprit. Meanwhile, Jie, who was selling, was suddenly asked by Dai to look after the game machine for a while because Dai was going to the toilet. At the same time, Gao Jie and his men came and took Jie behind and were forced to confess. Jie, who knew nothing, of course couldn't confess until his face was slashed. Dai, who knew Jie had been arrested, then reported this to Tietou and his friends. Tietou and everyone immediately went to save him. Meanwhile, Jie, who didn't confess, made Gao even more irritated and ordered his men to do horrible things to him. When Tietou and company arrived, they couldn't do anything about it. Gao also threatened that Tietou and his friends must not disturb his territory, Shinjuku. Gao also handed Jie, who had been seriously injured, to Tietou. After Lily found out about Jie's condition, she brought a doctor to treat him. In the room, Tietou saw Jie crying. Tietou did not accept Gao's actions, which had injured his best friend so much that he planned to take revenge. The next day, Tietou sneaked into Gao's house. However, he had to hide because Gao was meeting with Togawa's men, who said that Togawa asked Gao to kill Eguchi in exchange for a territory for Gao. Tietou, who was hiding, heard all their conversations. After Togawa left, Gao was intrigued by the offer and he revealed to his men that he was interested in Eguchi's wife. Tietou realized that the person Gao was about to kill was Xiu Xiu's husband. Sometime later, Eguchi came to Gao's place and was greeted very kindly. Gao also gave the requested report to Eguchi. Gao slowly took out his weapon to attack him. On the other hand, Eguchi also realized that, so when Gao pointed his weapons at Eguchi's face, he could dodge it. However, he is then held by Gao's men so that he is injured. Eguchi continued to rebel until he was cornered because there were far more people who attacked him. Just as Gao was about to slash Eguchi's head, Eguchi saw Tietou hiding there and saw him cut Gao's hand off. Tietou immediately fled from that place with Eguchi and hid from the pursuit of Gao's men. After successfully escaping, Eguchi invites Tietou to return to his house. However, Eguchi's subordinate named Nakajima doesn't seem to like the arrival of Tietou, who is Chinese. Inside the house, Xiu Xiu was very surprised because her husband came home with Tietou. Eguchi explained that Tietou had saved him and asked her to accompany Tietou while he changed his clothes. Apparently, there is also Yuko, Xiu Xiu's little daughter. After seeing Tietou carrying Ayuko, Xiu Xiu said that Ayuko was very similar to Tietou. Tietou said that she shouldn't have said that because now he was relieved to know that Xiu Xiu was fine. Xiu Xiu also explained that her name had changed to Yuko. After Eguchi came down, Tietou explained that Togawa told Gao to kill him. Eguchi himself had expected that, and asked Tietou to work with him for a high fee. But Tietou refuses, and before Tietou leaves, he asks Xiu Xiu to visit her mother, who is always sad when she remembers her daughter. Eguchi then realizes that Tietou is Xiu Xiu's ex-boyfriend. The next day, Yakuza officials met and discussed the mastermind behind the Eguchi attack. Nakajima insists that Togawa was behind the attack. Togawa did not accept the accusations given to him, so there was a commotion in the meeting. Muranishi tries to mediate the matter. Togawa himself managed to convince Muranishi that he was not the mastermind behind the attack, and Togawa was willing to help investigate the matter. Since Eguchi had no evidence, Muranishi asked Eguchi to apologize to Togawa, who did not respond to the apology at all. On another occasion, Eguchi returned to Tietou and asked him to kill Muranishi and Togawa. Tietou agreed on the condition that Eguchi had to help him gain official Japanese citizenship status and give up the Shinjuku territory controlled by Gao. That night, Muranishi, who was alone in his office, was attacked by Tietou in front of Eguchi. Muranishi's death was blamed on Togawa, who often made riots between Muranishi members and Togawa members. Togawa himself was eventually killed by Tietou when Togawa was about to enter his car. The police realized that the murder of the two Yakuza officials had been planned by Eguchi, so the police launched an investigation. The next day, Kitano followed the Yakuza, who would have a closed meeting with a Yakuza official named Haraoda, who appointed Eguchi as the new Yakuza chairman, while Kyohei replaced his father as branch head. On the other hand, Kitano, who was secretly stalking the meeting, was surprised to see Tietou there with the Yakuza. When Eguchi announced that he would give Shinjuku to Tietou, Nakajima seemed to disapprove of the decision. However, even Nakajima could not disobey Eguchi's orders. Nakajima's group finally met with Tietou's group to hand over Shinjuku to Tietou. Nakajima also said that he really hates Chinese people. After the transfer of power, Tietou and his group celebrated the inauguration of their new place. The event was attended by Chinese businessmen who asked for protection from Tietou, including Taik. Tietou also received a gift of samurai armor from Eguchi. At first, Tietou refused the security money from the businessmen. However, Taik reminded him that if he didn't accept it, it could create a commotion later on. Another businessman also suggested that the money be used to improve security in the area and prevent drug trafficking. Before going home, Taik is also seen meeting Jie to apologize, but Jie just pulls Taik's mustache until Tietou intervenes. Since the incident of him being attacked by Gao, Jie's character seems to have changed. At the end of the event, Tietou announced that he would open his own business, which would be handled by Laoge, Little Tai, and Tai Bao. He will also provide capital to the immigrants who come, which will later be handed over to Jie. Time has passed. Now Tietou has succeeded with his tractor business, and his friends have also been successful. Unfortunately, they didn't notice that illegal Chinese immigrants were flooding into Japan. Jie's appearance changed, and now he was in the old house of Chinese immigrants which had been damaged, and Aunt Hao had died. Apart from Jie, Laoge and others also came there to do the drug business. On another occasion, Jie approaches Taik's daughter, who is selling around the bar, but Taik's daughter refuses the invitation and makes him angry. Not long after, a young man who is Taik's daughter's boyfriend appears. However, Jie, who had become emotional from being insulted, beat the young man unconscious. After that, he casually left the young man just like that. Elsewhere, Hara is angry with Kyohei after learning that Shinjuku has been overrun by a Chinese gang called the Kata Omoi gang. However, Kyohei couldn't do anything because Eguchi was in charge of it. Hara finally contacted Eguchi about it, but Eguchi explained that it was one of his plans to get rid of Kyohei. After knowing about the plan, he asks Kyohei's group to take care of Eguchi and the Kata Omoi gang. Unexpectedly, Nakajima's group is also willing to help because of their hatred of Chinese people. Meanwhile, Kitano is handing over the files for the crimes committed by the Kata Omoi gang to Tietou. Tietou himself was confused as he didn't know about the group. Kitano also said that Jie had changed and asked about Muranishi and Togawa's killers. Tietou didn't answer his question. Before leaving, Kitano said that his debt of gratitude had been paid off by giving him the dossier of the crime. Tietou finally visited his place of business. There, he rebuked the Chinese youths who were very noisy, but the youths actually boasted that they were members of the Kata Omoi gang. Even they dared to go against Tietou. Luckily, Little Tai came to stop the attack and scolded the boys and told them that Tietou was the big boss of the place. Finally, the youths apologized to Tietou, and it was discovered that they were Jie members who were illegal Chinese immigrants. Not long after, Tietou also saw Jie meet Eguchi. However, Little Tai suggested not to interfere. In the morning, Lily invites Tietou to leave Japan and go to Brazil. He refused the invitation because he didn't want to leave his friends. A A while later, Kitano came according to Tietou's request. Tietou said that he would submit evidence that Eguchi was the mastermind behind the murders of Togawa and Muranishi. Hearing this, Lily was angry because she thought that Tietou would return to Xiu Xiu after Eguchi was in prison. Finally, Lily decided to leave him. In the evening, Nakajima asks Gao to cooperate to take care of the Chinese people. Elsewhere, Eguchi is asking Jie to kill Kyohei and Hara. At the same time, the Yakuza and Gao members came to the place. Tietou and Kitano also came there and surprised the members there because Tietou came with the police. Jie and Eguchi also meet Tietou, who is angry because Jie is close to Eguchi and has been selling drugs. Jie said that everyone there was also involved in the business. Tietou was so angry that he immediately grabbed Kitano's gun. Tietou was planning to use the gun to kill Eguchi, but Jie got in the way, so things got even more chaotic. Suddenly, Little Tai took out a knife and stabbed it at Tietou and Laoge, who were trying to advise him. Unbeknownst to Tietou and the others, the Yakuza had prepared to throw rocks from the outside. Just as Little Tai was about to kill Tietou, a large rock was thrown at his head, killing him. After that, the Yakuza showered the place with stones and then started climbing in. Tietou and the others tried to prevent the Yakuza from entering their place. Jie himself decided to go down and threaten the Yakuza. But when Gao came to bully Jie's courage was immediately lost. The gate was finally able to be forced open so that the Yakuza group began to enter and attack. When Jie saw Gao kill one of his members, Jie was frightened, and Tietou came to take him away. Despite being injured, Jie was finally able to escape from that place. Suddenly, Eguchi extinguished the electricity, and this greatly benefited Tietou, who was in a corner as everyone was holding back the attack. Eguchi also looks like he is about to run away through the window, but Nakajima, who has been waiting for him downstairs, shoots Eguchi. The dying Eguchi gives the Yakuza crime data to Tietou before finally dying. Meanwhile, Kitano contacted his comrades to send troops to the place. Not long after, the Yakuza attacked again. Dai tries to withstand the attack, which gets him killed by Gao. Seeing Dai die, Tietou, who had taken the bamboo decoration as a weapon, immediately stabbed the bamboo into Gao. Kitano helped block the road with the bamboo decorations that were there so that he and Tietou could escape through the emergency stairs. After that, they were again attacked by several Yakuza. Luckily, the police arrived at the place and secured all the Yakuza. However, it looks like Tietou left there to go to his old house. At his old house, Tietou saw Jie there with a serious wound. Before he died, Jie told Tietou that he still didn't have the guts. Tietou then contacted Xiu Xiu and told her everything that had happened, and asked her to meet him at Okubo Station. Unexpectedly, Kyohei had been at Xiu Xiu's house to inquire about Tietou's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Nakajima, who was hiding from the police, received a call from Kyohei, who asked him to arrest Tietou at Okubo Station. At the same time, Kitano also received Tietou's news of his whereabouts. At Okubo Station, Tietou is surrounded by Nakajima's group. When Kitano came to save Tietou, Nakajima pointed his gun at Kitano. Luckily, Tietou prevented him until Tietou was shot. Afterward, Kitano shoots Nakajima to death. When Kitano searched for Tietou, it turned out that Tietou had disappeared, so he followed the trail of Tietou's blood droplets that led to the water channel. There, the dying Tietou handed over a file listing Yakuza's crimes he had received from Eguchi. At the end of the film, Tietou is seen being dragged by the current in the aqueduct and tells Kitano that their debt has been paid off. The moral message that we can learn from this film is that a crime will never have a good ending.